Tony D and Little Joan with a screenwriter's rant on Slip, a new movie starring, what's her name? Emily Hampshire, as a woman who slips between realities every time she orgasms. I'm serious. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books. Links in the description. Comedy Heart in South Jersey. It's the Pineys, books 1 through 11. And thank you for supporting the channel. Here's a little treat for Joan. Yeah. So, the multiverse thing is the hot new thing in Hollywood. And these guys use it about as well as they use anything else. Now, I kind of like Roku. It's a free channel, whatever. But, you know, this is yet another variation on Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Everything Everywhere All at Once. Sliders. It's multiple realities. Only this one centers around one woman and her various lives as she slips through realities every time she orgasms. I guess. I mean, it just seems like a dumb premise. The underlying theme here is that this is free. It's free. Streaming April 21st. The underlying theme is she wants to get back with her original boring husband that she was bored with before this all started. And he was asking her, hey, do you want to have a kid? And then she started all this slipping. She was bored in her life. It's sort of like be careful what you wish for, right? So she wishes she has a better life, and then when she does, she's like, no, this isn't my life. Which is kind of a nice sentiment. Like, she wants what she feels I don't know. She wants the world that she feels belonged in, right? She wants her original husband. Maybe she didn't appreciate him at first, and then when he's gone, it's like she tries to get him back. So, I don't know. It seems like you're using a giant concept. The concept of slipping in between alternate realities just to do a story about a woman who's having a crisis in her relationship. What? Speaking of crisis. Here, put you over here. Jeez. Yeah, so it seems like, once again, you've got Hollywood writers who use the most ham-fisted, biggest things just to achieve a small bump in what could otherwise be a perfectly fine drama about a woman trying to get her life together. You know, you're relying upon the sci-fi nature of the multiverse concept in order to get over on, in order to make it interesting. All right. She just doesn't want to do videos right now. Go ahead. Go back to the sunbeam. She was sitting in the sunbeam. I should have left her alone. But in an alternate reality, you were still left in the sunbeam, Joe. Anyhow, part of doing the multiverse thing requires a very strong core universe. I know this because I'm doing a variation on it myself. But unlike most of the guys I see writing in Hollywood, I feel that I've got a strong core universe. I'll give you a little spoiler. It's in book 12 of the Pineys. And, if you have a strong core group of characters, then yeah, you can do this concept and it can be interesting. If your audience is already into those characters, right? And there's a bit of a history to them and they're kind of in on it, if you're doing a movie, well, first off, you don't have a lot of history to rely on unless you're doing, a Marvel Comics or a DC Comics thing. But even then, I mean, the MCU's history is sort of rapidly fading away as people are forgetting the movies, and Disney seems to be flooding the market. So for a movie, you have to keep the stakes pretty low. So they are doing that. I'll give them that. So the multiverse concept can work in this. It just feels like, of all the things you could have done, you could have just made the characters interesting, right? It could have just been a movie about a woman. She's bored in her life and she has a midlife crisis, and her husband wants to have a kid and she doesn't know if she wants to have a kid, and then she goes off on a little tangent and we follow her interesting travels, and then she comes back to him and says, "You know what? I do want to have a kid." And she nearly loses everything and then goes back to her man. Will this be that? It seems like that, again, with the multiverse concept in it, which kind of doesn't make much sense, because if she orgasms and then shifts to another universe, if she's really in love with her original husband and she gets back with him, won't that happen again the next time they have sex, and then she'll still have the same problem? It's kind of it's almost a self-refuting plot, I guess you would say. So yeah, I think it would have been a much better if you had an interesting character who was just bored with her life, and maybe she goes off on an adventure and nearly destroys her life, but in the end she kind of pulls it back and re-wins her husband back. And that's a concept we haven't seen much of in Hollywood, because it's usually the guy trying to win back the girl. It's very rarely the girl realizing, "Oh, I've made a terrible mistake. Let me win back the guy." And this may not be the ending of this movie, because everything that comes out of Hollywood, I gotta really, really be wary of. So first act, she's in a boring life, in a boring marriage, and her husband wants to have a kid, and she doesn't know, and she's talking to her friend, and she doesn't know, do I want to have a kid? Is that it? And then she has an affair with some rando, has an orgasm, wakes up the next day, and she's married to him. Figures out, and this begins the second act, figures out, oh my God, I've been transported into another universe. What the heck is this? I guess has sex with him again, and then finds herself in another universe. Then realizes, oh, this wasn't just a one-off thing where I was crazy. Oh, I'm definitely experiencing this. And then she keeps talking to her friend, but does her friend know her? Or does she have different friends now? And it's all very confusing. And eventually she decides she wants stability back in her life and wants to go back with her husband. But she's not married to her husband anymore. He doesn't even know her for whatever reason. So she hunts him down, and he's got a completely different situation, or she can't find him, and then she gives herself she keeps giving herself orgasms in order to transport herself to other universes, and then eventually has to re-win him back in the third act. Or does she get back to her boring life in the original universe? I don't know. I mean, from the multiverse kind of concept, it doesn't seem realistic that she would get back using that method. I mean, I guess it's a metaphor, but it just seems very ham-fisted. I think I would have preferred, and this is someone, and I love sci-fi. Understand, I love these concepts. And I used to complain, oh man, they don't use cool concepts like this enough. Now it's the complete opposite, of course. Now it's like, my God, they use these concepts all the time for nothing. And I feel like that's what this is. They're using a big concept for very little gain. Anyhow, it's called Slip. April on Roku, It's free. I'll say that it's free. Would I watch it? Man, that's a tough call because I do really like alternate universe stuff. Maybe. I mean, it's a real weak maybe, but I don't know. Maybe if someone told me it was great, I'd watch it. It doesn't seem great. It seems it seems like it's just going to be, you know, the only interesting part is the multiverse, and everything else around it, living in, I'm going to guess Manhattan, going to drag clubs, just seems kind of boring. Being in relationships, I I don't know. I think they could have made her and her friends more interesting, and that would have been a funner movie. They could have made them interesting and used the concept, and I think that would be better. Anyhow, that's it for me, Tony D, and little Joan, who won't stay still. I'll be at the Stratford Library today at 5:30 for my talk on how to hunt the Jersey Devil. Hope to see you there, and we'll see you in the next one.